Neptune, summer 2023. Hey guys, so this is like incredibly, but it's whatever. So, this reading is for those who feel like Neptune plays a very prominent part in their natal chart. It plays a prominent part in as far as like the aspects or like the house just seems particularly strong, etc., etc., etc. You could also be heavily Piscean. And yeah, let's go. All right, so boop, boop. Don't delude yourself that this is the way to go. Make sure you understand how strong your opinions are. Make sure you understand. Make sure you understand how strong your opinions are, or how strong it is your ability to start things. So you could be a really good starter of things, even though Pisces is mutable. So it can easily shift into things, but you can start things pretty powerfully. Pretty suddenly. I would say perhaps stay away from like starting things out of like anger, starting things based out of like a reaction to I think things that you can't perhaps change, but you wish you could. Like, you wish you were the final judge, jury, executioner on things, but you are not, right? Like, you have a societal place in this world, and while you exist at the top, I guess, of the hierarchy when it regards to your life, in the grand scheme of things, you don't have all of the controls. And so trying to control everything like doesn't fit. It causes a lot of like just disharmony. I think it causes a lot of distractions, really. You have to be okay with looking stupid and being wrong. And yeah, it feels more like very fixed energy, as opposed to like flowing mutable energy. So it could be this is not your Mercury could be fixed. So your Mercury could be in Scorpio, Leo, Aquarius, or Taurus. Something about that like seems very fixed. It doesn't seem very fluid because, you know, Neptunian energy, people, I feel like if I were to make this like a Pisces reading, you know, Pisces is ruled by Neptune, you would think that it would be like a lot more flowy, mystical, subconscious-y type. Like, it just feels really blocky and very like cumbersome. Like, it doesn't feel heavy to like get this message through or whatever. And surprising surprise, like I've done like all the other readings that I need to do. I've done like 8 readings to fucking day, within like a few hours. But it just feels like for you guys, like kind of like blocked. Like, I don't even really feel like I'm getting any real information that's coming through. And so you may have points of time where like almost like you black out. Like, if you are somebody who like drinks or something like that, you may black out, or there's experiences that you black out, and things happen and then you move on from. But perhaps you need to like figure out what you're blacking out from, because it seems like it may be an escape from it, or like you're blacking out to escape thinking about it. So this could be somebody who, like, even though there's no water, there's no cups here, but could be like emotionally blacking out or mentally blacking out. Like there's a blacking out kind of vibe I'm getting. And it's like it's like I wanna pull more cards, but there's just kind of this idea that that may not be helpful. You know what I'm saying? Like more clues may not be helpful. So like you could be, this could be an established problem that you've been having issues with for a really long time, and like you have been trying to figure it out for a really long time. It doesn't feel like something very fresh, so to speak, and new. It just feels like really established, and as a result, I don't want to take all of these, I'm sorry. As a result, okay, so it does it again, so fuck it. As a result, like I don't even know, like, see, this feels so disjointed and choppy, almost like you don't want to confront something. There's something that isn't being confronted, and there's something that isn't being, like, it could be about certain events in your life that were really heartbreaking for you, particularly, like, almost like, really, it's not tragic, it is, but it doesn't have to be, like, anything utterly devastating that you can't recover from, but it's something that you've blacked out about. Like you've either accepted it and then like just blocked it out, and like whatever dream or whatever it is no longer reality, and so you don't venture there anymore. And that seems more like it. Like you don't venture there anymore within your mind. But the thing about it is, it could be becoming increasingly insular about like certain things, or increasingly insular and isolating. So like I feel like really not panicked. I don't feel panicked, but I feel like it's a panicked feeling of whatever it is that's trying to reach you, perhaps, that it feels like it won't reach you in time. Like it won't reach you in time, or it won't reach you before you kind of like completely give up, I guess. It feels like you have like a certain time to start over, and there is, because it's like you're so down, it feels really like, I feel like this is someone who would do well if they heeded like therapy, or they kind of accepted that they're currently somewhere where they don't want to be, and they move forward with that knowledge and then go from there, as opposed to someone who has completely shut down like options of hope, options of seeing things, and then kind of like making decisions based on very increasingly like limited scopes of insight. It feels like it feels very patchy. Like it doesn't feel like consistent, because the other readings I've done feel consistent. This feels very all over the place, and almost there's a level of understanding that like you can't reach, or based on how limited you've become and isolated you've become, you can't reach it, but their capacity is there. So someone may not also see their own self-worth and have really poor self-image. I feel like you perhaps also have like some sort of speech impediment, some sort of inability, I guess, to communicate with others, or you feel like you can't communicate with yourself. There's an inability to communicate with yourself that's here, but it is hampering you. And it's also, it just seems like a memory, perhaps a memory of failing or something not turning out that really, I don't know, emotionally like shut you off to where you no longer expect things to go in that direction. Perhaps there's been several failures in this direction that have kind of just convinced you that this thing is not for you. The Hangman has come out so much in people's reading, like every damn reading. I don't even think a Tower moment is coming. I think that's the thing. A Tower moment needs to come, but I don't even think a Tower moment is gonna come. Yeah, I don't think with this it would be a perception of a Tower moment happening. Like I feel like there's such a strong will to keep it together, and there's such an oblivious kind of nature to this, but like willfully oblivious, or willfully, like not ignorant, but we're like repelling of something. Like someone is so scared of, I guess perhaps someone, if it's a recovery, scared of becoming what they used to be, that like they have a very like limited way of being and interacting in the world and moving in the world. Like they have to, like, it served them well at some point, but it feels like very restrictive now. Very restrictive. Like they had to be very like on it and aggressive with like the recovery from something, and that discipline and that skill set was needed, but like they haven't, because you had to get rid of so many things. There's just certain things that ended up getting scratched out altogether, certain activities getting scratched out altogether, that like you completely blocked out, like almost like these are just like not plans, these are not possibilities. With this Temperance card, it could just be a severe like blocking out or scratching out, maybe because like to embrace what those things were, just almost like a fall from grace type mentality or something like that. Like if you were an alcoholic, like of course drinking again to the capacity that you had would be like horrible, but like some of you, like, and it may not even be like you restricted yourself from alcohol and you stayed disciplined with that, but like you may be like restricting yourself from basic things like tea, coffee, soda, water, like basic things that like people consume that yes are still addictive. Like the water is basically the only one that'd be like a-okay, I guess. But like there's just such a restriction here that I feel like it's just not living life like fully. Like I just feel like the life you built has been a lie, and you needed to get from point A to point B, and point B was like recovered from whatever, but the road to that, you blocked out a lot of things, and I feel like a lot of things that made your life fun, and you feel like you can't go back to them because you may feel like a severe like rebound energy and a real like I'm gonna be like swept under all of these influences again. And so if it's like something like alcohol and things like that, like of course not being around people who drink a lot, dealing with your triggers, stuff like that. Like I'm not a counselor or anything like that, so like, you know, take this with a grain of salt. But I kind of just feel like there was a loneliness that you felt cutting off everybody, and you kind of blacked it out, and it's kind of like this thought of this is the price of like fame, this is the price of moving on, but it's such a severe cutting off that like you also cut off not the ability, but you cut off a friendly regard towards people in general. I feel like an ability to connect with new people who would be more aligned with yourself, like a deathly afraid of being influenced, or deathly afraid of people disturbing your like very tight box of what is known, your very tight box of conviction. But like I just feel like this is a very sensitive person to like change because of their previous like addictions, their previous like issues. But it's so severe, like how you interact with it to like combat it, that it's just, I don't know, like it doesn't feel healthy to me. Like it doesn't feel healthy to me. It feels very like your force of nature, your like inner light is kind of like very restricted and angry as a result, and lacking kind of like the ability to like expand. There just seems like a really restricted kind of energy, which is like so interesting, because I feel like Pisces, yes, it deals kind of with like restriction and that like illusions and stuff like that, like keep you like wrapped in cycles and shit. But I don't know, like I feel like Neptunian energy is very expansive. To me, it's like a higher octave of Jupiter in a way. And that like, as far as like this description is like being all you can be and opening yourself up, even if it's like beyond the realm of like reality, so to speak. I kind of feel like what you believe is possible has gotten so restricted, or what feels like it's not that you've gone from like fantastical to just simply practical and mundane 3D. It's just your scope and your universe of what is possible has been so restricted. And I don't know why. Like whatever it is, you don't want to talk about it. It's been blocked out so much that like uncovering it would cause a really big tower moment that you would have to like calibrate yourself, embrace yourself for. So I don't feel like the universe is gonna like come with like a big ass like opening, but it may be like an emotional event that seems like perhaps really small. And maybe the small event is just you sitting and meditating. So you may arrive at this like meditating instead of interacting with like everybody out in the world. You may be like meditating and like boom, you get burst wide open, or you like listen to music and you get burst wide open. So it doesn't seem like an inflammatory event that like happens like a fight or something like that, but like there's something that you witness or experience when you quiet down that bursts you wide open. It could be like hearing something from your childhood and then you like burst into tears, or like you find something from like a past, you know, like a past love letter or something like that you never sent to somebody, and like you burst into tears. You find like a photo of like something, like your dog that died when you were like 8, and you like burst into tears. It's like something happened to cause you to like restrict yourself emotionally so much that like when you burst open, your light, like what you know may feel like so false and so like I've lied to myself for so long. And I would stay away from like berating yourself about that. I just feel like, because it would be very easy if you had any addictions to like kind of dive headfirst into that. I think also the propensity, the leaning to do like to be in that space of like nothing matters, really like is prominent here. this seems really confusing to me. This is like very confusing as shit to me. But there's certain like just things that just feel so restricted. They feel so, it annoys me because it just feels like why are you restricting yourself so much? Like, but the reason why, I mean, this is a general reading, but like the reason why, like, you don't want to talk about it, and I feel like you haven't wanted to talk about it for a really long time, and like, I don't know, like, when it opens, it'll like open really wide, but like, it just feels like there's a fear that like you'll become unhinged. Like, you've done so much work to like stabilize yourself, like to talk about it again feels like you would just become unhinged. Like, there's an extreme fear of becoming unhinged, like an extreme fear of becoming unhinged. And I guess also the feeling of you're not yourself when that sort of emotion comes up, or you're not yourself when you confront that, like you get too out of whack that like it becomes dangerous for you when you like experience whatever it is that you experience. I really do feel like this is like a mental health thing, but it could also be just like a severely blacked out memory that like once you hit it, like I feel like, and this is when you won't be able to close the door and stuff back in the closet. Like, it's gonna come out and it's gonna stay out, and you're gonna have to deal with it. You're gonna have to fight with it. You're gonna have to make friends with it, or at least accept it on the timeline of your life instead of trying to hop timelines where it doesn't exist because it exists. And it doesn't seem like any timeline that you hop to would be without it. So there's no point of it being without it, you know? So I think that's all I have to say about that. Yeah, that's all I had to say about that. So thanks, Neptune. Thanks for watching. I hope you find great inspiration with this and feel good and blah blah blah. I'm just like processing, like I'm just spacing out now. Yeah. So thanks for watching, Neptune. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. My legs.